Ooh boy, what a time to be on Twitter. It was recently revealed that Bridget, a character from the game saga Guilty Gear, is trans, and this stirred some controversy on the internet. However, there was a lot of foreshadowing for this event, and it's not this forced diversity that many people claim it to be. In other words, Bridget has always been this way, and I'm going to prove that by taking a look at her speech in Japanese. Hello everyone and welcome. This is Localization Addict. I'm Hagane and today we're taking a look at Guilty Gear and more specifically a character in this series called Bridget. Many people will blame translators and Western audiences for bringing SJW concepts to video games. And I'm here today to make the argument that thinking like this is reductionist and quite honestly just wrong. So without further ado, let's get started. The first indicator we have that Bridget was a woman all along is her use of the first-person pronoun uchi. First-person pronouns are words such as I and me, which refer to the first person or oneself. By contrast, second-person pronouns are words we use to talk about the people we're talking to, like you and your. In Japanese, there are many first and second-person pronouns, and they all denote different qualities about the speaker using them. We have, for example, the first-person pronoun boku, often used by young boys, or the second-person pronoun anta, which is used by women when talking down to someone. So, what this means is that these words will have an impact on how a character is going to be perceived, as there are layers to them which work as windows into said character's self-identity. In Bridget's case, the pronoun she uses, uchi, is one that is characterized for being used by women, often in a familiar environment. She has consistently used the same pronoun throughout the entire series, something that I find extremely telling for the following reason. The writers could have made her use a more masculine pronoun like boku, which is used a lot for effeminate men. Nevertheless, they made the deliberate choice of having her use uchi when referring to herself. You could argue that this is because of the way she was raised, since she was raised as a woman by her parents. However, her use of this pronoun is not only consistent throughout her entire history, but with the new game, it becomes evident that she does not want to change this. It's not that she didn't give it thought, she just feels more comfortable referring to herself in this way. It's also worth noting that her speech has always been incredibly well-mannered and polite, both of which are more feminine attributes in general. Granted, this doesn't immediately prove that someone is a woman. However, it adds to her image as a feminine person, and I'm sure the creators purposefully intended for this to be the case. Let's take a look at a few of the sentences she says in this game. Here we can see, once again, that she's using the pronoun uchi for herself, but we can also see her using the word hineri, which is sort of a paper envelope with money inside given in certain festivities. However, she's not just saying hineri. She's coupling this with putting o before this noun, which is a way of making a word sound more polite, coupled with kudasai, which means please. But the one thing that takes the cake is the ne at the end, which is a particle used to soften one's speech. And what this does is it makes your sentence sound more feminine. Just from this sentence alone, we can sense a general feel of femininity coming from Bridget's speech. This is also present in many other of her lines. Another point that I wanted to address is the people saying that the decision to make Bridget officially trans was a product of pandering to a Western audience. This could not be further from the truth. Trans people exist in Japan as well, and although they aren't often portrayed in media, Japanese trans people have been fighting for their rights to be represented in a positive light for years. It's not like trans people only exist in the West, you know? In fact, there has been a record of trans people in Japan that goes as early as the Heian period, which goes from 794 AC to 1185 AC. With Torikaebaya Monogatari, a story about a trans man, being published in the Muromachi period, which goes from 1338 to 1573. It's kinda tiring to see so many Japanese culture enthusiasts ignore or dismiss the LGBT+ history of Japan in favor of their very Eurocentric view that these things only happen in the West. Also, I keep seeing the argument that Bridget being trans is an issue to do with SJW translators forcing wokeness down people's throat. However, every single hint to her being trans is there in the Japanese original, not just in the English localization of the game. Let's look at the scene in question, shall we?
元気でな、お嬢ちゃん。いや、お坊ちゃんか。
お嬢ちゃんでいいですよ。うちは女の子ですから。
So we have Bridget say, in response to being asked whether to be called a lady or ojo-chan or a gentleman or obo-chan, the following line.
お嬢ちゃんでいいですよ。うちは女の子ですから。
This means, call me lady, because I'm a girl. The English localization, taking into account previous context as well, is as follows.
Don't mention it. Happy trails, cowgirl, or cowboy.
Cowgirl is fine because I'm a girl.
As you can see, they're pretty equal in meaning. So, no, outright Twitter, this is not a case of localization ruining your precious media. Anyway, this is all I have to say about this subject. This has been all for today. Thank you all for watching. If you like this video and would like me to make more videos like this, hit that like button and subscribe. See you next time!